ePMP webinar. Today, we have a very exciting webinar for you. John Butler, our senior manager for this product, will explain to you how ePMP's PTP capabilities are best in class in terms of latency and throughput performance. Then we're going to have a hands-on presentation by our principal staff engineer, Rachel Swindle from England. She will go over details how to use ePMP's PTP capabilities in our signature Cambium network link planning tool. So we're very excited to have Rachel here today with us, and this is going to be a very good hour. So with that, I would like to give microphone to John.
Thanks, Emily, and thanks everyone for joining the webinar. As Emily said, I'll start with a very brief overview of what the ePMP is, in case there's anybody on the webinar who's new to the product. And then I'll focus on some new capabilities that we're adding to the product to optimize and improve its performance as a point-to-point solution. And then finally, Rachel, as Emily said, will walk you through how to plan ePMP links, point-to-point links with the link planner. So that's one of the best things about the point-to-point capability of the ePMP is that now you can use the renowned Cambium link planner to plan your links. So what is ePMP? ePMP is the newest platform in Cambium's family of wide area broadband solutions. What we did with the ePMP is that we took everything we'd learned over the last 10 years on how to build resilient, scalable, high-performance systems that are easy to deploy and easy to manage. And we married that with a mass market chipset, which allows us to get some very interesting cost points on this solution. And we added to it a customized, high-performance, GPS synchronized protocol, and what we end up with is the world's most affordable global broadband wireless solution. So the product's been shipping for about a year. We're getting a lot of deployments, people adopting the product, and as we have been making lots of improvements to the product over the last year, we're going to talk about the latest improvements that were coming out very soon. Brief overview of the solution. The ePMP is a set of radios in both the 5 gigahertz and the 2.4 gigahertz bands. We have a GPS synchronized radio, which is acts as the access point in a GPS synchronized point-to-multipoint solution. And then we have several unsynchronized radios, which can either be clients to an access point or can be point-to-point radios. And then we have a set of sector antennas as well as a reflector dish antenna to increase the gain of the solutions. So the hardware is based on a Wi-Fi chipset, but the solution is not Wi-Fi. We've totally redesigned the protocols so that it operates in a GPS synchronized mode, which allows you to do frequency reuse and gets you very high spectral efficiency. You can deploy the solution in a very flexible manner. Each one of the radios can be configured to be either an access point or a point-to-point radio or a subscriber module. And so you can use the radios to deploy either synchronized or unsynchronized point-to-point links, short-range unsynchronized links with the integrated radios, or synchronized and unsynchronized point-to-multipoint solutions. The key differentiating features of the ePMP are listed on this slide here. I'll just go through them quickly. The first one is that we have a choice of operating modes for the solution that are each optimized for particular use cases. We have a GPS synchronized mode of operation, which is most useful for dense point-to-multipoint deployments that allow you to do frequency reuse. We have a flexible frame ratio mode of operation, which has some benefits in both point-to-multipoint and point-to-point deployments, and it's optimal for unsynchronized operation. We've also recently implemented a standard Wi-Fi mode of operation in the client devices, which allows for interoperability with standard Wi-Fi access points. And then what we'll talk about today, which we're just introducing in the software, is an enhanced PTP mode of operation, which delivers best-in-class latency and throughput performance for a product in this category. The solution is also has very high scalability. When you deploy it in a point-to-multipoint configuration, we can support up to 120 subscriber modules per access point, all of this while maintaining consistent performance. And we have implemented a set of algorithms and capabilities that we call eFortify, which is really our ability to maintain performance in the face of external interference. So we've done a lot of testing and tuning of the algorithms such that the product performs as best as possible even when there's external interference. So on that foundation of a solid solution, we also support advanced quality of service capabilities and advanced multicast support capabilities that allow us to provide a wide variety of high-value applications on this platform. And then finally, we have a set of tools that help you plan, provision, and monitor your network, and we've given them the marketing name of eCommand. And one of the most important capabilities within this eCommand area is, of course, the link planner, which we'll spend a lot of time today going over. So that's an overview of the product. There's plenty of more information about the portfolio in general on our website. We have full spec sheets and all manner of documentation on the use of the product. What I'm going to talk about today is the ePMP, and it's used as a point-to-point solution. So the ePMP was designed to be the most scalable point-to-multipoint solution, and we've been making some updates to it in recent software releases. And we now have a software release 2.4, which has been in beta testing now for several weeks, and will be released next week. And it provides an optimized, enhanced mode of PTP operation. What this mode of operation does is it dramatically lowers the latency of operation in point-to-point mode, and you can get 2 to 3 milliseconds of round-trip latency now when operating in point-to-point mode. We've also added a tool, a very useful tool to the product. We call it eAlign. It's a new alignment tool that makes it much easier to install and align point-to-point links as well as point-to-multipoint connections, and we'll talk a little bit about that in this presentation as well. So all of this is supported on the ePMP Force products, which are a recent addition to the portfolio, and they provide a very cost-effective way of delivering long-range point-to-point solutions. And all of these products can have their links planned with the link planner. So let's talk a little bit about the Force product. What the Force product is a combination of ePMP connectorized radio with a high-gain 25 dBi dish antenna. And we sell these in 2 versions at very attractive prices when we bundle the radio and the dish together. The Force 110 utilizes what we call the unsynchronized connectorized radio with the dish antenna. And that radio is most often used as a long-range SM device or a point-to-point radio. It supports 2 fast Ethernet ports, and because it has a fast Ethernet port, the throughput limitation is 150 megabits per second. So in a 40 megahertz channel operating at the highest modulation, a point-to-point link utilizing, or an SM utilizing this radio, the Force 110, would be Ethernet limited in terms of its throughput. It's got a long range. We can go probably up to the limit of the protocol, which is 40 miles or about 60 kilometers with the high gain 25 dBi antenna. And then we have another model which is called the Force 110 PTP. And with this model, we utilize a connectorized radio that has a gigabit Ethernet port on it, along with the high gain dish. And what this allows us to do is break through that limitation of 150 megabits per second, and we have a solution that can deliver 220 megabits of real user throughput. That gigabit Ethernet port is also 802.3 AF compliant, and so it can be powered by standard PoE switches. So again, to summarize what the Force 110 is that it is a combination of a connectorized unsynchronized radio and the ePMP dish, and we sell it at a very attractive price. The MSRP is $129 US per end. The price may vary depending on import duties and other things in other countries. And the Force 110 PTP is 220 megabits per second of throughput, and the sale price on that is $225 MSRP per end. So another chart here which shows the differences in between the two products. Again, the Force 110 has two fast Ethernet ports, and the 110 PTP has the gigabit Ethernet port. In addition, there's higher packets per second supported on the Force 110 PTP, and both of these solutions can be utilized with either the flexible frame ratio mode, which has a round-trip latency of 6 to 7 milliseconds, or this new enhanced point-to-point mode with a 2 millisecond round-trip latency. So let's talk a little bit about this enhanced PTP mode. So it's a new capability that's in the software. So anybody who's got ePMP radios today can access this new enhanced PTP mode simply by downloading the new software release. It's designed to optimize point-to-point operation and to bring latency, round-trip latency, down as low as 2 to 3 milliseconds. It's an unsynchronized mode of operation, and at this point, this capability is supported in 5 gigahertz bands that do not require DFS operation. So, for example, in the U.S., that would be the 5.8 gigahertz band and the 5.1 gigahertz band. Elsewhere in the world, where DFS is not required in the 5 gigahertz band, this would be supported in all of the 5 gigahertz spectrum. In addition, we support this mode of operation in 20 and 40 megahertz channels only. We will be making enhancements to this capability in future releases to support it both in the DFS band as well as in the 5 and the 10 megahertz channel sizes. Also, this mode of operation works best for all but the longest link. So there are some distance limitations that we recommend not exceeding when using this point-to-point mode. So we have a chart here which shows what those distance limitations are, and they vary by channel bandwidth and slightly by frequency band. And really what drives these distance limitations is that we're using the native acknowledgement capabilities within the chipset in the ePMP product. And when you have very long links, the acknowledgement timers will time out because of the excessive propagation delay. And so if we have a very long link, you don't recommend using this mode of operation. But as you can see, you can get some pretty long links with this enhanced PTP mode, so it's really not much of a limitation at all. It's very easy to configure the radios to operate in this mode. You simply select one of the radios to act as the point-to-point master, also known as the access point. And you configure that radio and click on the enhanced PTP master mode of operation. And then you go to the other radio, which is going to be the PTP slave, also sometimes called the subscriber module in this link, and also click on the enhanced PTP slave mode. And then the radios will link up and begin operating. Now, as I mentioned before, one of the other capabilities we're adding to the release is a new tool. We call it E-Align. So you'll find it under the Tools menu on the radio, which is the slave or the SM in the point-to-point link. And once the radio links up initially with the master, what it does is it's got this graphical screen here that shows you the received signal strength indication, and this gets updated every half second. So it gets updated very rapidly, and so you can look at it when you're trying to do that fine alignment of your point-to-point radio in order to optimize it. And so what it'll do is it will tell you what the RSSI is at right at that instant. It will also record the peak RSSI, so you can know what you can achieve in terms of signal strength and when you're aligning the links. And it's a very easy way to get the links aligned in an optimal way. So that's part of this new software release. We have a lot of people out there using the ePMP in point-to-point mode. Here's a very interesting case. Recently we had a service provider in Spain who deployed what I think might be the longest ePMP link out there. They used a very large dish. This is not a forced dish. This is probably a 3-foot dish here. It's a 34 dBi dish, and they were able to achieve 58 kilometers with their ePMP radio and 150 to 180 megabits per second of throughput. So lots of people are starting to deploy ePMP as point-to-point radios, and it's really a great cost-effective solution to deliver a lot of bandwidth at a very low cost. So that's an overview of the ePMP as well as the new point-to-point capabilities. And now I'll turn this over to Rachel, who will tell you how do you plan your ePMP point-to-point links with the link plan.
Thank you, John. I think it was a great overview about current ePMP, PTP abilities. And I just want to remind you, please write your questions during our presentation so our presenters can answer them at the end. You will be getting a copy of this webinar in our Cambium signature thank you letter very soon. And I just wanted to mention that if we do not answer all questions during this webinar, we will be very active on our newly launched community forum, and our presenters will try to answer your questions in the community forum. To get to it, it is www.community.cambiumnetworks.com. Again, you just put community.cambiumnetworks.com. And I highly encourage you to go take a peek at this forum and find the aspects that you're most comfortable with. For example, we have product news, we have product releases, we have new idea sections, we have just different chat windows for to answer your different questions. And our product managers are very active on this forum. They will monitor questions and they will try to do their best to answer them. With that, I would like to give microphone to Rachel. She will present the use of ePMP PTP capabilities with our Cambium signature link planner tool, who is used by more than 30,000 people around the world. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you, John. Hello, everybody. So I'm going to take you through a brief introduction on how to get hold of and install Link Planner if you don't already have it, and then to go through a basic PTP planning example. The Link Planner tool is freely available from the Cambium website. You can download it by following the links on here, and when you follow that link you'll see a download now button partway down the page. It's also the same place where you can go to get any ongoing updates if you think you're behind, but also when you're within Link Planner you'll be notified of any new releases that come out. We also recommend that you install Google Earth as well, because we can interact with Google Earth within the tool. So when you want to download Link Planner, you'll go to the support pages. If you're already downloading software for any of our products or getting hold of our products, you've probably already got an account for this. So you can use the same login details to get hold of Link Planner. If not, it's very quick and easy to register. When you're into the download area, then you can pick up the Link Planner by following the links, and you can see both the release notes, which are very useful for latest releases. You can get hold of the user guide from here, but that's also available within Link Planner once you're installing it. So you can have access to it from both ways. We have a slightly different version depending on whether you're on a Mac or a Windows, so select the appropriate option. Once you're within Link Planner, in order to get hold of the profiles, you'll need to get an access token. The easiest way to do that is just to select the Request a New Access Token option from here. Note that the email address that you need to use for the access token doesn't have to be the same as you use on the support site, but it must be the same as you have configured under the personal information section within Link Planner. It can be a good idea to test the profile service by using the network settings option if you're having any problems. Before we begin, there's generally some information that you need to have available to you about the link that you're trying to plan. This can include the country of operation, the coordinates, those are essential. We need to know where the two endpoints are, the availability and throughput parameters that you're looking for from your link, and the frequency band that you want. So for the PTP link that we're going to plan within this presentation, it's going to be in the United States. We've got the coordinates for both of the sites. We're looking for 4 nines reliability and 150 megabits aggregate throughput, and we're going to plan it in the 5.8 gigahertz unlicensed band. Depending on the type of link you're trying to plan and the service level agreements that you have, it can be, it's usually a good idea to conduct a site survey, because the better the information you put into the model, the better the success you get in the field. So now to actually get in and start planning a network, we need to create a new project. And that's very simple, just select the new project option, and then we can start adding sites. In the Link Planner now we have 2 types of sites, network sites and subscriber sites. For a PTP link, the only thing we need to worry about are the network sites. So we can add those by either adding them manually from the entries where we can type in the latitude and longitudes by selecting the Add New Sites options, or we can import them from either a CSV file or a KML, KMZ file. But also you can go to the map when you're in in Google Earth or Google Maps and just click on the place where you want the point to be, and then you'll get a window up that will allow you to set the name and maximum height of the site. Once you have your sites in, we can create a link. There's an Add New Link window menu where you can select the 2 ends, or again you can use the map functions and select the link icon and just drag from one site to the other, and it will create your link for you. Once you have your link, Link Planner will go away and get the path profile from our database and return it straight into your project file. But this will give you the basic terrain, but if you have obstructions, local obstructions, buildings, etc., then you may need to add additional information. You can use Google Earth. It's a wonderful tool for zooming in and finding out what's underneath your link, and we can also see a side profile view of the terrain within Link Planner. We can add obstructions to the link by right-clicking on the profile and select Edit Profile, and you will then see this little spreadsheet view of the path profile. If you click and hold across the profile, you'll highlight an area, and you can then add a height to that option. So by adding number 20 into the selected area, we get a 20-meter height obstruction added to the profile. This is a very quick and easy way to add lots of vegetation, or if you have a large area of urban that you want to add in. But equally, you can select a very small area of the profile and add in small buildings or heights to localized obstructions. We use at the moment the SRTM data set, and this will include a little bit of the height. If you've got large areas of contiguous buildings, then when the radar return the data, the height may be incorporated. If it's very isolated buildings, the heights are unlikely to be incorporated. Having created the link and got your abstractions in, we now need to configure the equipment. So Link Planner works from top to bottom and left to right, so we start in the top left and decide what frequency band we want to use. That will then create the appropriate product options we have available under the product. So again, here we're going to select the ePMP 1000. Following that, we can select the regulation for the United States. And now, as we've just been talking about, we have two different PTP modes. So for this example, we're going to show the enhanced PTP. You won't see this in the version of Link Planner if you download it today. That will be available in a version that will come out next week when we launch the enhanced PTP functionality. We can then also set the bandwidths and the gigabit Ethernet port. As John was describing earlier, we have two different options as to whether you use the unsynced radio or the synced radios for the Force 110 PTP, and that changes how much capacity we can get through. So if we're using a 40 megahertz bandwidth, then we really need to be using gigabit Ethernet ports at both ends of the link in order to see the full capacity of the radio, which is what we can see down in here underneath the configuration at each end. We're using the Force 110 PTP antenna system for both ends of the link. If you know that you have localized interference in your band, don't forget that you can add in the interference in here, and it will take account of that in terms of your throughput calculations and background analysis. Having set up and configured the PTP link, then we can look at setting up the requirements and seeing how that meets what we're looking for. So the user can set the minimum IP required for each direction of the link. We were looking for 150 megabits aggregate, so we've set this now for 75 megabits in each direction. We were also looking for 4 nines availability, so we've set up 99.99% in the minimum IP availability required. As we can see, we're actually achieving 99.9912, so this has worked out well for us, and at the moment we can support this link and support the requirements that we were looking for. The throughput shown on this link assumes a saturated load in both directions, but if you want to see what the maximum throughput is, we can also show in the detailed performance. There are some charts. In these charts, when you're in enhanced PTP mode, you'll see two options. One is the dark blue area, which shows the symmetrical load, which is sort of equivalent to the 50-50 downlink uplink ratio that we see in the standard PTP format, but when we're working in enhanced PTP, we also work in adaptive mode, and therefore we can get up to a maximum one-way throughput as well. And what we can look at here, you can highlight and see the actual throughput and the availability of that throughput in the details chart. Once you have configured your link to give you the performance that you require, you can see the bill of materials that you'll need to order for that given link at the bottom of the link planner page. For a PMP link, ePMP link, you can see that this is very, very simple. For some of our other products, this becomes a lot more complicated, and that's why we can show all the options. But you can add optional extras. So you may, for example, want to add some warranties. So these are available by selecting the new extra option, and you can see in the bottom right all the different optional extras you can get for an ePMP link. When you've configured the BOM, you can then export it to a spreadsheet option so that you have it available for order. You can also create the BOMs at the project level as well if you wish, by selecting from the File menu in the top left-hand corner of Link Planner. We also produce proposal and installation reports. These give you information to show how the links have been configured in a way that you can easily pass them on to other people and to your installation crews. So when you go out in the field, you print off your installation notes or send them on to your installers, and what we have on here is the set of information that the installer needs so it tells you the antenna types and the bearings, but it also gives you all the parameters that John was showing you that you can set up and configure on the UI of the product, so that you can ensure that the way the product is configured matches the way it was originally designed. So remember that within Cambium we have a lot of courses both on-site and at headquarters that can give you further information about how to install, configure and deploy all of our products. This was a very quick overview of the basic parameters to get you up and going and plan a EMP PTP link. There are many other features within Link Planner depending on the type of product that you're actually using, and so feel free to contact the technical people in your area or to look through the user guide to get further information on all of these other features that Link Planner can offer for you. I think that, Emily?
Thank you so much, Rachel. Yeah, it was a great introduction, a great presentation. And I just want to emphasize that we do have a full EP Link Planner webinar coming in March. And we plan to have Link Planner webinar in different languages in the upcoming quarter. So please go to our website and check out our webinar program. We have a few questions right now from our audience. The first one is probably for John. The question is, any plans to move ePMP to 3 gigahertz?
Well, we're always looking at new features, new capabilities for ePMP, including what other frequency bands might make sense for ePMP. At this time, however, there isn't anything we are ready to announce about any new frequency bands for ePMP. So nothing we can announce yet.
Okay, sure. The next question is also for John. What is the difference between ePMP, PTP, and E45?
Okay. So ePMP is the name of the whole product suite or portfolio. The PTP capabilities, which we went over today, are a configuration that the ePMP supports, and we have some recent new enhancements in this Release 2.4 software mode that make it perform better. What eFortify is, eFortify is a marketing name that we applied to a set of algorithms and software that we've implemented in the ePMP that dynamically adjust the mode of operation and the modulation of the ePMP radios when they encounter interference in order to make sure that we have the highest possible performance and consistent performance. So that explains what all those different terms mean.
Thank you, John. Next question is for Rachel. The question is, how can you move a created site in Link Planner?
Yeah, you can't drag and drop and drag and move a site. You would need to know new coordinates. So if you've already created a site, you can't actually really drag it around the site once it's been created. You would need to look for the coordinates of the new location and create a new site. Once a link's been associated to a site, you can't move and change the coordinates of that site. So you would have to delete the link and move and edit the coordinates if you wish, or create a new site.
All right, thank you. Next question is for John. ePMP is in the master. There is enhanced PTP master and PTP mode. What is the difference?
Right. So the PTP mode that's an option is the existing mode of operation for PTP, which we call flexible frame ratio mode. So it's basically the way the radio will operate is that it will alternate between sending data in one direction and the other in a kind of a TDP type of mode, but it will dynamically vary the amount of bandwidth that it will use in one direction or the other based on data demand. It's also a mode that can be extended to point to multi-point. The enhanced PTP mode, which is the new mode of operation we introduced today, really optimizes the way in which the point-to-point radios work so you get lower latency. There is a distance limit for this enhanced PTP mode, which we mentioned in the presentation. And so if you want to have a point-to-point link that's longer than those distances in the presentation, then you would use the other PTP mode. So short answer is use the enhanced PTP mode for PTP link unless your link distance is longer than the limits that we had in the presentation, which is around 50 kilometers for 20 megahertz channel, and then it varies depending on the width of the channel.
Thank you, John. Next question is regarding the fee for training in headquarters or on-site. Yeah, we have different training classes, and there is a fee in some places. There is no fee in other places. You would have to pretty much take a look at our training schedule, and it will tell you if there is a fee or there is no fee. The fee, as far as I know, is very small. So next question is for John. PMP installation report does not give radio performance details, only installation details. Is there a new report coming that shows the MCS and data rates?
Yeah, I think actually I'd like Rachel to answer that because it's related to the link planner. Rachel?
We are improving the reports. So in the PTP reports, you'll see the availability and throughput per MCS mode, and you'll also see the average or mean throughput they expect to get based on the relative time in mode for each mode, which depends on the fade margin that you have on the link and the location where you have the link, whether or not it's line of sight, etc. So in PTP mode there's quite a lot of information, and that is all passed through into the reports.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. Next question is
Emily,
excuse
me, Emily. I think you skipped over one question there. There was a question that asked whether or not ePMP was available in Mexico.
And I answered this question privately, but John, please go ahead and add to it.
Sure. Of course it's available in Mexico. And what you would need to do if you're interested in getting a quote for the ePMP is to go to the ePMP or go to the Cambium website, select ePMP products, and then on the products page there's a button you can click which says request a quote. And one of our channel partners if you put down that you're in Mexico, one of our channel partners in Mexico will contact you.
Thank you, John.
Sure.
Next question is why can't I edit its power site location once I put it in Link Planner? I wind up having to delete and start over completely. That is for Rachel.
If you have a site that doesn't have a link attached to it, then you can edit the coordinates within Link Planner so that you can change the coordinate information. But once you have a link connected, because we already have the profile between the 2 points based on those coordinates, then you can't actually change the coordinates because you would need to request a new profile. And it would change that link, so you would need to create a new site.
Thank you. The next question, is there an alignment standard procedure or manual that we can follow for the ePMP 1000?
I don't believe we have, specific instructions on alignment. What we do have is we have installation instructions for each of the radios, which shows how to attach it to a pole attachment point and adjust the direction and that sort of thing. And so then using those instructions combined with this new e-alignment tool should be what you need in order to do the job.
Okay. Next question is, are the limits in distance for ePTP either in 20 megahertz or 40 megahertz include the effects of very rainy areas?
Okay, well, so the ePMP operates in the 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz bands, and the performance of radios in those frequency bands is not affected in a significant way by rain. So that's not a factor that you really need to consider when you're deploying these links. The distance limitations that are there with the product come from a couple of different areas. One is that you need sufficient power and gain in order to achieve certain distances with your link. So there'll always be a limit there. But then we've designed the protocols for the ePMP to work up to 40 miles, which is approximately 60 or 65 kilometers. That's the limits based on the protocols, and they line up pretty well with limitations based on power and antenna gain.
All right. Next question is, when the software is updated to the new release, should one end of the PTP link be upgraded before other? I would hate to lose connectivity.
With our software releases, when we do upgrades, we recommend upgrading. So in a point-to-multipoint solution, we recommend upgrading the access point first. So in a point-to-point link, I would recommend upgrading the master side of the link first, and then the slave side second.
All right, and I think we have a comment rather. Understand MCS is in PTP report, but nothing in PMP.
Yep, we are working on that, and we expect in our next release to have a lot more information available in the PMP reports.
Thank you, Rachel. Next question, what if I delete the link in Link Planner tool?
Not quite sure. Once you delete the link, it's it will disappear.
All right.
Was there something else that was related to?
I think that was related to an earlier question.
Yep.
So Link Planner for multiple links, can you duplicate the selected parameters of a link to additional sites or multiple SUs rather than from scratch each time?
Okay, there are two different ways of doing that. We have something called equipment templates, so you can actually configure all the default parameters for a given product and save a template for that product type. You can set that then as your default template, and every new link you create after that will have those parameters. So, or within the PTP links view, you can select some sites and apply a specific equipment template to all those sites. So that's a very quick and easy way to always configure sites or links with the same parameters. In the PTP links view, you can also select individual parameters and do a mass change on those across multiple links. One of the other ways you can do it is that having created one link, you can duplicate the link, but that will be links between the same points. So then the easiest way to do it is to set an equipment template up for your particular product with all your default configuration.
Okay, great. Thanks, Rachel. Next question, does the 2.4 software release cover spectrum analyzer mode from 5,725 megahertz? Currently, this only starts at 5,745 megahertz.
I don't know the answer to the question, so I will go get an answer, and we'll email it out to the folks on the webinar afterwards.
Sure. So you can see there is interference for a 20 megahertz channel for the first raster of 5,735 megahertz.
Okay, I think that's related to the previous question.
To the previous question. Yes. Right.
Yeah. So I'll get an answer and we'll respond.
All right. So next question is, which version of SRTM dataset is Link Planner currently using? Are any additional datasets used to correct or update the GTM?
We're using SRTM v2.1, I think it is. We also use the ASTA dataset version 1. We are currently analyzing the latest ASTA dataset, but we need to do some work on that before we bring it online to make sure that it is actually going to be an improvement for all of our users. So we are constantly looking at the datasets and looking at what's available, but we must use a freely available dataset, as this is a free tool.
Okay, sure. Next question, the Force 110 unsynchronized is listed at $129, and for enhanced PTP, correct? Do I understand correctly that this is the same hardware that can be used at the same price point for a regular subscriber module in PMP configuration?
That's correct. It's the same hardware, and it can be a subscriber module or a point-to-point radio. You could even configure it as an access point, but coverage area would be very small due to the beam width of the antenna, but it's technically possible.
Sure. Next question. Any chance Link Planner will pick up street clutter data for the UK?
Not at the moment, no. That's not on our list of features.
All right. We do not have any more questions in the moment. We'll give you a few more minutes. In the meantime, our community forum is www.community.cambiumnetworks.com. We are also very active on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Google+. Another question just came in. Hi, you were asked about 3.5 gigahertz equipment earlier. What about 900 megahertz version of ePMP?
Well, I'll have to give the same answer, which is that we do look at other frequency bands to see what would make sense to build for the ePMP for, but there isn't anything I can say at this point about other frequency band availability.
All right. I'll give them a couple more minutes. Okay, so we don't have any more questions. No, one just came in. What is the maximum deployment range for ePMP 1000 using integrated antenna?
So that would vary depending on the power levels that you use, which can vary from regulatory region to region, as well as the interference levels. So I wouldn't really want to give a distance here. I think the way for you to determine that answer is to either use the link planner to set up a link, or there's another tool on our website. It's called the ePMP Capacity Planner, which is a spreadsheet-based tool that lets you input all of those parameters such as power and antenna gain and interference level, and will tell you what distances you can achieve for different throughputs. So I encourage you to do that if you're interested in the answer.
Thank you, John. We have a question, a request to repeat the ePMP for multiple use briefly.
The ePMP for multiple use. Let's see if oh, multi-point use. Okay. Right. So the ePMP can be used either to deploy a point-to-multi-point system where you have a access point serving as a master and connecting to multiple clients or subscriber modules. And then you can also use it as a point-to-point link. So either one of those configurations is possible.
Okay. Thank you, John. We're almost at the top of the hour. All right. So with that, I think we would like to complete this webinar, and I want to thank again our presenters, John and Rachel. They did an amazing job, and I think everyone learned a lot from this webinar. And we will be definitely very active at our community forum. please check back with us, and we will definitely be in touch. Thank you so much, and we hope to see you again.